What's going on, you guys? This is Tech coming at you guys with the top 5 Dreamboard themes for your iOS devices. Now before I get started, I want to let you guys know for each Dreamboard theme that I list in this video, I will have the title, description, and also the repo that you can get it from in the description below. So let's get started. So the first Dreamboard theme I have for you guys is called 1950. You can find this one, of course, in the Insanely AI repo. Now from the looks of it, you guys can see that it looks very old-fashioned, but kind of in a retro style. You have all of your icons towards the bottom, which you can swipe through pages, and each icon is shaped like a hexagon, which is kind of a little style that it has. You guys can see that you also have the settings in which you guys can kind of edit. You guys can get the theme settings, the history, and just tell you more about the theme itself. Now in the settings, you can change the pages, the widgets. You can mostly change the color and overall look of the theme itself. Now we go to the edit. Of course, this makes you go into edit mode, and you can change the icons on which ones you want to put and which ones you don't want to show. So once you've done that, you can simply exit by clicking the home button. Now on the left hand side, you can click on widgets, and this takes you to kind of a page that's only focused on the widgets. You can change this to Facebook or Google, whichever social network or site you use the most. You can choose from there. So find this part of the theme very helpful because you don't have to open a certain app and take up the whole screen. You can simply go to your widgets page and kind of access it from there. Now by clicking on the bottom, you guys can see that it separates the sections from work. You have social, which all of the apps are themed. You also are greeted with apps, which lists all of your apps in general. Now of course, all of these you can customize when you go into edit mode. You also have game and back to work. Now the only con I found about this theme is it doesn't have a custom lock screen, but besides from that, it's an awesome theme overall. Now the second Dreamboard theme I have for you guys is called Grid Phone OS. You can find this one in the Insanely AI repo for free. Now starting off with the icons, they're pretty square and boxy, but give the theme its own style. You also have your time, weather widget, and day of the week towards the top. Now they separate sections such as configure, which kind of sets up the theme. Say if you want to set a wallpaper, you have a couple options to choose from, and just by clicking on it, you can set it just like that. Moving right along, you have your game section in which you can put your favorite games when you go into edit mode. Now after that, you have your media section, which you can kind of put your music, YouTube, whatever you feel like that's going to entertain you in there. You also have your social for Facebook, Twitter. Last but not least, you have your apps, which consists all of the apps on your device. Now you guys are probably asking me, how do I set that weather widget on the home screen? Simply go to configure, set weather, and type in your zip code, and pretty much done. Now if you want to configure the app, simply go into edit mode, and you can kind of change each app to whatever app you desire by clicking on it and just choosing the app you want. You can do this on pages and also in the sections. Once you're done, simply click on the home button and you're pretty much set. And that's pretty much the theme. If you guys enjoy it, feel free to download it. Now the third Dreamboard theme I have for you guys is called ISTS Twilight Pro. You can also find this one in the Insanely AI repo. Now from the first looks, this one kind of looks like Tron in the kind of theme format. You have your RSS widget on the bottom. You have a couple widgets towards the side, which I will be getting into. By clicking in the middle, you have all of your apps that are themed to the actual theme. So that's pretty cool. Going back, starting off with the widgets across, you have your weather widget towards the bottom, which will open in its own app, which kind of looks like an Android app in my perspective. Going back, you have a cool animation which gives the theme its own style. Moving right along, you have your kind of like a slideshow towards the left hand bottom, which will give you kind of a slideshow of images that the theme has itself. Moving on to the next widget you have is a calendar widget, but the great thing about this is that you can customize it to different calendars that they have. They have a total of 3. Moving to the other widget, this one is a time widget which has 4 different themes that I gotta say are pretty cool to customize and play with. Now towards the middle of the theme, you kind of have like a circle which has icons around it. Now this is where it gives you options to set up sections which you can have kind of like your favorite apps, games. You can also move the ring so you can have it kind of to any position that you want. Once you have that, you can go into edit mode on the left hand bottom. This is kind of where you choose the apps that you want in particular sections, such as this one is a gaming section, so Of course, I'm just adding random apps, but you can add kind of like your favorite games or only the games in this section. Now of course, some of these apps are kind of dedicated just to open, such as your phone, your messages, Facebook, anything that's kind of commonly used they will have on there. Now unfortunately, this one doesn't have a lock screen, which is kind of a downside, but overall it's a great theme to have. Now the fourth Dreamboard theme I have for you guys is called Metron, and you can find this one in the ModMy repo. I believe it costs $1.99. Now this one kind of gives you a Metro interface to your iPhone. Now the great awesome thing I like about this is it has its own custom lock screen, which kind of gives you kind of a Windows or Metro feel, which you can just slide up and unlock. And it also has notifications on the lock screen itself. You can swipe towards the sides, which kind of reminds you of Windows 8. Now the way you go into edit mode on this theme is you simply swipe on the icon. You can either unpin it, move it to the side, or kind of enlarge it, such as I did with the camera. Now this is pretty much how you customize the home screen of Metron. Now if you guys want to see all the apps on your device, simply tap in the background and select all apps. This will be greeted with all of your apps, which you can pin to the home screen or just access from here. Now you can also swipe from the right hand side, and it gives you a couple options, such as going to Spotlight. Now as you guys can see, it took me to the stock iOS. Now I can swipe on the right hand side and it will take me back to Metron. This is kind of like, reminds me totally like Windows 8, going from the desktop to Windows 8 or something in that perspective. You also have where you can customize the color, so this is very versatile when it comes to customizing the color, the font, anything on the theme itself. It's very handy. You also have different designs that you can choose from. This goes for the background of the theme itself. And last but not least, you have the notifications, on which it gives you about 4 selections, which you can customize on which apps has the notifications. And a plus to the theme is it also has live widgets, or as you would say, live icons that you can turn on and off, such as I'm doing with the music app. And I gotta say, I'm pretty much loving this theme. It kind of doesn't take over the whole iDevice, and that's kind of the great thing about this theme. And since this theme has a lock screen, it has a plus in my book. Now the fifth Dreamboard theme I have for you guys is called iOS X Ultimatum. I will have the repo in the description below, so you can check that out. Now this theme was mostly inspired from Mountain Lion, kind of giving you all the features, or kind of just mocking it up, having it on the iOS. Now when you first get into the theme, it will kind of describe it, but I will be showing you guys on how to use it. Once you're done with that, simply launch it, and from the beginning you can kind of see how it looks like you're kind of running on a Mac, but from your iOS device. You have your dock towards the bottom, and towards the end where the trash can is, that's kind of like your settings for the theme. Now going into the settings, as I said, for the trash can, this is where you can kind of mess around with the settings, such as going into edit mode, in which you can place icons all around the home screen as you choose. Now there's also other options in the settings, such as kind of putting a weather widget on the home screen, which I gotta say is pretty awesome. Besides from that, going back to edit mode, you also can use the default wallpaper or use any of them from your photo library, but I just like the default one. Just probably depends on you. Now this is where you can change the icons towards the bottom. You can have a Chrome icon or Safari. This also goes for your mail and iMessage, which you can change up depending if you have Byte SMS or just a regular stock iMessage. Now this theme also features folders, which is pretty cool. It keeps iOS's folders, and this is where you can kind of go into edit mode and place your particular apps that you want in these different sections that are listed towards the top. Now for each of these folders, you can also change the name of them, so they don't have to stay the same. You can change them to whatever you like, and it kind of just allows you to customize it on your regular iOS, and kind of making and customizing folders so you don't lose that ability. Now swiping to the right, this is where you have your dashboard. Same on Mountain Lion. This is where you have Facebook, Twitter, you have your weather widget, and Google Plus towards the bottom. If you want to configure this, you just simply tap on the weather widget, type in your zip code, and you're pretty much set to go. Now it doesn't stop there. If you tap on Finder, it kind of opens a little window, which is pretty cool, and this will list all of your apps on your iDevice. Now of course, you can't use any of the toggles towards the top, but the only thing you can do is just exit the window. Now you guys must admit that this theme kind of puts the nail in the coffin when it comes to being exactly like Mountain Lion. Of course, you're not going to get all of the features, but for being a Dreamboard theme itself, it does a good job of doing that. So guys, that's mostly going to do it for my top 5 Dreamboard themes for your iOS devices. If you guys want to be extra awesome, feel free to share the video on Facebook or Twitter. A like helps me out, and you can also subscribe if you want to see more videos like this coming up in the future. And that's mostly going to do it for this video. Like always, you guys know me. I'm Apple Tech. See ya.